TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. A joint Egyptian-Qatari initiative, which reportedly calls for the release of only 10 living hostages from Hamas captivity, has rekindled optimism vis-à-vis prospects for a hostage release deal. U.S. President Donald Trump asserts that the only way to release all hostages from Hamas captivity is for the terrorist organization to be confronted and destroyed. Tension between Australia and Israel is seemingly escalating, with bilateral relations reaching an all-time low. A joint Egyptian-Qatari initiative, which reportedly calls for the release of only 10 living hostages from Hamas captivity, has rekindled optimism here in Israel about the prospects of a hostage release deal after the last round of negotiations in Doha, Qatar, had ended at an impasse. The Islamist Hamas and its Palestinian terror affiliates announced that they had responded positively to the new Qatari-Egyptian proposal on Sunday, after which Jerusalem relayed an unequivocal message, quote, "Israel's position has not changed. The release of all the hostages and meeting all of the conditions defined for ending the war." Meanwhile, after visiting the IDF's Gaza division headquarters, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu highlighted that he had heard reports of the Hamas accepting an Egyptian-Qatari outline for a deal which had yet been relayed to Israel. However, the fact that Hamas immediately accepted the proposed deal indicates it is under immense pressure.
Today I visited the Gaza division, where I met with the IDF senior command staff. Citizens of Israel, I would like to tell you 3 things. First, I expressed, on your behalf, that of the government of Israel and for myself, deepest appreciation for the great achievements of the IDF in the War of Redemption, the war on 7 fronts. Second, I was impressed by the fighting spirit and determination to complete the defeat of Hamas and the release of all of our hostages. Third, I spoke with the defense minister and the IDF about our plans regarding Gaza City and the completion of our missions. And like you, I hear the reports in the media, and from them you can be impressed by one thing. Hamas is under immense pressure.
Israel has received the proposed outline last night, and it is expected to submit its response before the end of this week. Well-informed sources revealed that the current proposal is very similar to the original proposal by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff that was reported by TV7 to include the release of the 10 living hostages and the remains of 18 diseased hostages in exchange for over 1,170 Palestinian terrorists incarcerated in Israeli jails, a 60-day ceasefire, and negotiations on ending the war. Meanwhile, the IDF continued to prepare for a decisive battle in the Gaza Strip, with initial focus on Gaza City. IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, during an address to an operational learning conference, asserted, quote, "We are preparing and approving plans. You must prepare all formations for the continuation of operational developments. We will act with full determination and professionalism, just as we have done until now. We will continue to operate and create the conditions for the release of our hostages. We will make every decision with responsibility and great seriousness." It is important to highlight that U.S. President Donald Trump, in a statement on his Truth Social platform, released a statement in which he proclaimed, quote, "We will only see the return of the remaining hostages when Hamas is confronted and destroyed. The sooner this takes place, the better the chances of success will be." The president further stressed to Jerusalem regarding Hamas, quote, "Play to win or don't play at all." Turning to the Egyptian border with the Gaza Strip, where Cairo's top diplomat Badr Abdelati hosted Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa, during the course of which the Egyptian foreign minister blatantly fueled disinformation and modern blood libels vis-à-vis the IDF's operational conduct vis-à-vis the Islamist Hamas in the Gaza Strip.
We have all witnessed, unfortunately, the systematic targeting of civilians and infrastructure by the Israeli war machine, including the targeting of those waiting for aid. In addition to using starvation, even against innocent children, which has led to their death from malnutrition, lack of medicine, and the spread of epidemics and diseases in shameful scenes.
In defiance of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's determined position that the Palestinian Authority does not take over the Gaza Strip after the war, the Palestinian Authority's Prime Minister nonetheless announced that the Palestinian leadership in Ramallah continues to work with Cairo on implementing Egypt's plan for the devastated enclave.
We are continuing to work with our brothers in Egypt to prepare to hold a reconstruction conference in Cairo as soon as possible to rebuild Gaza in partnership with our brothers and friends based on the Arab plan for the recovery and reconstruction of the Gaza Strip.
It is important to highlight that after refusing to condemn the atrocities committed by Palestinians against Israelis on October 7th of 2023, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas issued a letter to French President Emmanuel Macron and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on June 10th, in which he relayed for the first time, quote, what Hamas did in October 2023 in killing and taking civilian hostages is unacceptable and condemnable, and Hamas must immediately release all hostages. It is worth noting that his statement was part of a list of French prerequisites for Paris to reciprocate by announcing its intention to recognize Palestinian statehood on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in September. In other news, tensions are escalating between Jerusalem and Canberra after the Australian government announced its decision to bar member of Knesset Simcha Rotman, chairman of the Parliament's Constitution, Law and Justice Committee, entry, claiming the refusal to grant the Israeli lawmaker a visa on the grounds that his views were inflammatory and could fuel division in the community. In a retaliatory response, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar announced the cancellation of the visas of Australia's representatives to the Palestinian Authority.
Australia is acting against Israel, and Australia is also persecuting Israelis. Its decision to ban entry of a number of Israeli figures, as was the case with former Minister Ayelet Shaked, and also with Parliament's Constitution, Law and Justice Committee Chairman Simcha Rothman, should be seen in this context. That is why I decided to revoke the residence visas of Australia's representatives to the Palestinian Authority. And we will act in additional ways. There cannot be such a reality that instead of addressing the anti-Semitism that is raging in Australia today, including harming Jews, including the harming of Jewish institutions, instead they are fueling this anti-Semitism by falsely accusing as if the entry of Israelis into Australia would lead to unrest among the Muslim population, would lead to harm to public order. This is exactly what fuels anti-Semitism. And so I decided, as I did, to do so immediately. This message was delivered to the Australian ambassador to Israel. More to come.
Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong responded by labeling the move as unjustified, accusing Jerusalem of further isolating Israel and undermining efforts for peace in the Middle East. However, unimpressed by the seeming anti-Israel sentiments of the Albanese government in Australia, Knesset member Rothman insisted that Canberra needs to choose between Israel and the Islamist Hamas.
I think that the government of Australia needs to decide. Do they want to be on the side of Hamas, or do they want to be on the side of Israel? or it's not only Hamas and Israel. They need to decide if they want to be in the axis of evil or the axis of good.
It is important to know that this latest deterioration of relations between Canberra and Jerusalem came after Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced his government's decision to join France in recognizing a Palestinian state.
Today I can confirm that at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September, Australia will recognise the state of Palestine. Australia will recognise the right of the Palestinian people to a state of their own, predicated on the commitments Australia has received from the Palestinian Authority. We will work with the international community to make this right a reality.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Let us not forget the 50 hostages, to include up to 20 who are believed to be alive, who've now endured 683 days in brutal Hamas captivity in the Gaza Strip. Please pray for the hostages and their families, and pray also for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Separately, if you've been blessed by our daily programs, since TV7 Israel is exclusively donation-based, any contribution will help us share the truth from here in Jerusalem. You can donate via our website at www.tv7IsraelNews.com. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.